Hello, so are we ready? Okay. So, hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, How to be a Responsible Fashion Consumer and Help the United Nations Achieve a Better World for All. As I said a few minutes ago, on the bottom of this webinar screen, you can find the link to open a new chat window. Feel free to write any comments you have there, and I will take the time at the end to answer all of your questions. I am your host today. My name is Melissa Ortuño, and I'm the product strategist at Regenerate. Okay, so we will have a brief introduction about who we are. Regenerate is a Berlin-based sustainable fashion agency that is focused on integrating sustainability in the fashion industry, beginning with design. We provide consultancy and training to fashion brands, textile producers, and universities to enable sustainable practices and products. We have presented our work in main fashion events, such as Neonit and Fashion Sustain at Berlin Fashion Week, Copenhagen Youth Fashion Summit, Zalando, and others. Okay, so the reason we are hosting this webinar today is because today marks the start of this year's Fashion Revolution Week. In April of 2013, the Rana Plaza building, a fashion manufacturing facility in Bangladesh, collapsed due to unsafe safety measures. Over 1,000 people died and more than 2,000 people were injured. To raise a voice against this incident, Fashion Revolution was born. This global movement campaigns to ask brands and producers who made my clothes, seeking for transparency in their supply chain. Now we're going to move to why sustainable fashion. The fashion industry has over 60 million people working along its value chain. It's got an economic value of over 2 trillion euro. And this value is expected to grow 4% in this year only. This huge economic power and growth also increases the negative impacts that they affect the planet Earth. Some of these impacts are the use of chemicals and toxins, the use of natural resources, unsafe working conditions, increase of waste on landfills, and unsustainable consumption patterns. And now we could think, how is that related to us as consumers? It is often that when we think about the word fashion, we think of this. Or maybe this. Or maybe this. This is the image that we have about what fashion is. High-end, unrelatable images of beautiful people and beautiful women. In reality, the fashion industry accounts for all clothing, shoes, and accessories produced and consumed. So maybe you're an avid fashion shopper looking for the latest trends and all the good sales. Maybe you like to keep it casual. You just want to look good but effortless. Perhaps you just don't care. You just wear whatever you got 30 years ago and just keep on wearing it. The truth is that clothing is part of our human experience. We use clothing to represent our culture and traditions. We use it to express our lifestyle or individuality. We also use clothes to blend in and belong into groups. We use clothing to cover ourselves from external factors and weather. Whatever the reason, if you are wearing clothes, you are wearing fashion. And now we come to this. What about the United Nations? It is always hard to grasp how can the clothes that we are wearing are related to the United Nations. As you may be familiar, the United Nations is an international organization with the mission to maintain international peace and develop friendly relations among nations. In 2015, they stated 17 Sustainable Development Goals to accomplish by the year 2030. The goals aim to achieve a better and more sustainable future for all, and were developed for all industries and nations. The 17 goals cover topics of social and health, environment, innovation, and governance, allowing all the industries to have a holistic framework to achieve true sustainability. We can use them in fashion to solve these problems. So now let's go to the important part of this webinar. What can we do as fashion consumers to have a positive impact on these 17 goals? To explain this, I will state facts about the fashion industry, and then I will give you the actions that benefit certain specific goals. Feel free to write notes or make screenshots of the actions we're gonna approach. Okay, so first fact. Over 50% of garment workers are not paid a minimum wage in countries like India and the Philippines. From these workers, 85% are female. This relates to the goals of no poverty, gender equality, decent work and economic growth, and reducing inequalities. Well, what could we do? The first action towards these goals is becoming aware as a consumer and question the prices. When you enter a shop, instead of saying, wow, this is so cheap, maybe ask yourself, why is this garment so cheap? Maybe think, what is the cheapest item of clothing you've ever bought? Having this awareness is the first step towards being a sustainable and responsible fashion consumer. Another action, seeking for transparency from brands. How much do the brands that you buy from communicate about their manufacturing facilities? We show here an example of a brand named On Rope. They provide a cost breakdown for their products. So this way you can see which were the costs for manufacturing, for transportation, for materials, and then you can see what was the markup margin. This kind of transparency provides us good information to make better decisions. As I mentioned previously, to increase transparency, the Fashion Revolution campaign encourages all of us as consumers to ask our brands, who made my clothes? This will push companies to be more open about their manufacturing facilities and working conditions. Another action is supporting local brands, local producers, and artisans. For example, if the brand is working with artisans, make sure to look for equality and fair trade, because it is often that artisans are not paid fairly for their work. Some of the examples that we have is Industry for All Nations, an international brand that produces locally and creates a capsule collection for every region where they are designing, producing, and selling. For example, they produce with wool in Peru, or here the example of the wheels use tires from California. So they use the resources from the local region and they create the capsule collections with that. Another organization is Aid to Artisans that provides training to artisans to ensure that they know about fair trade and commerce. A fourth action for this topic is supporting brands that employ people with disabilities or promote inclusion. The example we have here is a Danish brand named Carcel, which produces in women prisons along the world. Now we go to another fact. This is water related. So the amount of water needed to make one t-shirt is 2,700 liters. This is enough water to sustain a person for over 2 years. Furthermore, clothing and textiles are the #1 source of microplastic pollution in the oceans. Microplastics are released during the washing cycles, and they are too small to be filtered by your washing machine. These microplastics move to the food chain and have been found in products we consume, like fish, table salt, and water bottle. The actions we can take towards these goals of clean water and sanitation and the life below water is, first of all, wash less often. Has been proved that wearing your jeans 10 times before washing can reduce up to 70% the use of water. Another action: avoid buying and washing fleece polyester garments. Although this material is found in many of our winter clothing, it releases high amount of microplastics during the wear and washing cycles. Another water-related action: use a filter for your washing machine or use a laundry bag. On this example, we have the Guppy bag, which is a laundry bag that filters microplastics from your laundry and prevents them to entering water streams. Now we jump to another fact. Polyester is the second most used fiber in the fashion industry, only after cotton. It is a synthetic petroleum-based fiber that is not biodegradable. Fossil fuels, as we know, release great amount of greenhouse emissions, affecting our health, climate change, and the life on land. Further, more than 50 million tons of used textile waste is generated each year in the United States only. This textile waste comes from garments that we get rid of and textiles from production. So the actions that we can do towards these goals is, for example, choosing organic materials like cotton or bamboo. It is known that natural fibers like linen or hemp can be locally grown, which means that less CO2 is released from transport. They require less energy, less water, and less pesticides. When you buy a product that is organic, make sure to look for trustworthy labels like the GOTS certified. Another action you can do is look for environmentally friendly components. Perhaps it's the garment that has been dyed with natural dyes, or perhaps a leather product that has been produced without toxic chemicals. It has been found that chemicals like Chrome 6, often used in leather production, can cause skin cancer to workers, but also to the users when we are wearing these products. Another action towards this goal is recycling your unwanted garments. So first of all, seek for textile recycling bins in your local area. If there's no recycling bins in your region, find to sell your used clothes or give them to a family member or friend. Further, you can always donate them to charity. There's a small issue with charity donations due that sometimes products are not being sold in the charity shops or given to people in need, and they end up in the landfill instead. So the main point is always avoiding to throw your garments into your regular trash bin. So, last fact. Fast fashion brands release up to 50 collections per year. Back in the day, we had only the spring-summer collections and the winter collections. But now, we can have new clothing on the shops every 2 weeks. With that comes this number that on average a garment is worn only 7 times. So imagine you get new clothing every 2 weeks, but then you only wear it 7 times and let it go. All of the resources used to produce it are also going into the bin. So what can we do about this? First action, and I know this is not the easy one, reduce your consumption. When you go into a shop, I know you will find things that you like, because products are made to be liked and to be beautiful, to be appealing. But ask yourself, do I really need this? Do I really want it? Do I have something similar? Asking yourself these questions will make you have a second thought and perhaps refrain you from just getting from a first impulse. Another action you can do, extend the life of your garment. Back in the day, I remember old grandmas just fixing and repairing almost every item you had. It could be socks, they will repair it. It could be underwear, they will repair it too. So let's take that a little bit again, like that idea, that concept, and let's try to fix and repair our garments when they're broken. It's often just a button that fell out. Maybe it's a little hole that you can't see. Find a way, and I'm sure you will be able to use it again and give it a next life, an extended life. Some brands are working already into providing repair shops within their stores. For example, Patagonia has created these warm wear repairs where you can go into their shop and you can get your product repaired. And the good thing is that it's not exclusively for their own brand. They repair other brands too. Another action, and maybe this is getting on trend right now, and that is really good, it's buying second-hand clothes. Second-hand clothes, those can be from your local second-hand or charity shop. That's really cool. And also, if you want something a little bit more exclusive or more selected, some brands are already selling second-hand and pre-loved items of their own. The Swedish brand Filippa K takes back products of their brand from consumers that don't want them anymore, and then curates this collection and sell it again as a pre-loved item that you can find in their shop. Another action you can take. Try to look for innovative materials. Perhaps we all know, or maybe not, depends where we are, There's a lot of recycled PET bottles turning into textiles. This is a great way to use materials that are already there instead of generating new raw material, in this case, petroleum-based materials. Other innovations in materials that you should keep an eye on is textiles made out of waste. Yeah, waste. These textiles are produced as a byproduct of the food industry, and we have some examples. They have been making leather with pineapple and apple skins. So here on the example, you can find this black pineapple leather bag developed by Piñatex. And last but not least of these actions, be aware of greenwashing. Be judgmental and look carefully at the hand tags and labels. Perhaps you want to support a handmade product, or you just want to buy recycled clothes only. Find the values you believe in. There is no wrong in doing right. Just be aware. These actions promote industry innovation and infrastructure, and responsible consumption and production patterns. Okay, so I hope that was not a lot. Hope I was not too fast. I said this will be fast and fun. Not sure if it's how fun you find it, but I'm sure it's fast. So now I'm gonna go into a recap of these actions. I will present this, all of the actions I previously mentioned. I will present them again summarized in 3 important moments that we all have as consumers. Again, feel free to screenshot, take notes, whatever you want to keep this in mind, to keep these actions very handy. Okay, so this is the first moment when we are shopping. So as we mentioned, number 1, yes, reduce your consumption, easy peasy. But yes, question the cheap prices. Have these second thoughts. Ask yourself, do I want it? Do I need it? Why is this so cheap? How much was the person that produced it paid if this is only this price? Number 2, seek for transparency from brands. What info are they providing? And also, be aware of greenwashing. Be judgmental. Number 3, support brands that produce locally, support artisans, and promote inclusion. I'm sure you will find some local fashion designers, some artisans in your region, or some innovative projects that include people, for example, with disabilities, among others. Number 4, choose organic or recycled materials, products that have been natural dyed, and products that are free of chemicals. I know this is not always available. It's not possible to find organic or recycled fashion in every region or in every shop, but keep an eye on it, because this is gonna be mainstreaming in the near future. And the 5th point in this shopping stage, buy secondhand. I think this is an easy one. It's also like a nice experience to go to the second hands or thrift shops, because it's almost always only a one-of-a-kind item. So it's a good experience to go and see what you can find over there that you will potentially really like and love. So second phase, to recap our actions, but this is when we already have the garments, right? Because maybe you don't want to buy anymore, but I'm sure you have some garments lying in your closet. So this is when you're using and carrying. So first of all, wash less often. Maybe your pair of jeans don't need to be washed every 3 days like your underwear. Just separate those ones. Number 2, if possible, use a washing filter in your washing machine, or perhaps get a laundry bag like the one that I mentioned, Goopy bag, and I'm sure there are some others getting available in the market. And number 3, call your grandma to help you repair your broken garments. You can make garments last longer and keep them with you for a quite few time. And number 3, the last step, when it's time to let go. It happens, we gain weight, we lose weight, we just change style. For whatever reason you want to let go of the garment, first and foremost, avoid throwing garments into the trash bin. So this leads us to second, deposit, if possible, in the textile recycling bins from your local area. There are some shops, international shops, that have now recycling bins, so you can bring used garments to their shop and they will maybe give you a discount or something to, yes, buy more clothes from them, but at least you make sure that the clothes that you are recycling in their bins are not gonna end up in the landfill. They usually recycle it, like they destroy this clothing and use the fibers to make textiles for the automotive industry or to make carpets. And last from these steps, you can always sell your garments as secondhand or donate them to charity. So from my side, this is it. If someone's got any questions, let me see. And if not, then we will just move on. So okay, thank you. Yes, this is a huge challenge, I know, from your comments. Yes, you're welcome. And I will try to add subtitles in Spanish and Portuguese to upload it so you can rewatch it again. So I'll just keep you posted when I have it with the subtitles. And yes, Spanish subtitles. And I'm just gonna give it a little bit more seconds because my chat has some delay due to the streaming. You are welcome for this. Hey. Cool. Just waiting for if something... Yeah, go ahead. Okay, so we have some questions. Good. Okay. Okay, so Carla, the question is, could you explain again how using filters or laundry bags will help? Yes, Carla. So when we wash our clothing in the washing machine, the friction of like the clothing with the other pieces of clothing that we have, plus the friction with the washing machine per se, kind of breaks the fibers of our clothing. You know, it's like scraping the surface of our clothing, and this generates small fibers that we cannot see, microfibers. And then if your textiles that you're washing, the clothing, is cotton, then okay, micro cotton fibers will end up in the water streams, in the ocean, right? But if the garments you are washing are polyester or nylon, which is petroleum-based materials, these fibers will also enter the water stream, but they will not decompose. So then these microplastics, this is the way they're called, microplastics, they are consumed by fish, they are in our salt, they are used in drinking water because they're so tiny that filters cannot filter them back when they take water from water streams to produce water bottle, for example, or drinking water. Okay, so I hope that answered. And then I'm checking back. A moment. Okay. So another question from Gisela. What is the best way to throw away undergarments? Yes, this is a hard one because often we cannot give undergarments to our friends or family or to a second-hand shop. But this, my suggestion is really trying to find textile recycling bins. Not every country or region has textile recycling bins, but if possible, try to find them. Perhaps in your region there's a producer of carpets. Maybe you could email them like, hey, I have some textiles to recycle. Perhaps they have a lead in a local place where you can recycle these textiles. Gisela, this is a hard one. Thank you for your question. Then they said, big challenge for students. Yes, definitely. And then another question. Okay, where do you think we could find the laundry bag in Mexico? I'm not really sure. I will leave this presentation, like you will be able to rewatch this presentation. And I have the link of the laundry bag in the presentation, so you can check their website, and perhaps they have international shipping. Yes, Gisela, yeah, undergarments, definitely not easy to recycle. The other thing with undergarments and other kind of clothing that we have is that they are a blend of fibers, because you know, like our underwear, it's always stretchy, and also our activewear, which uses a lot of spandex. This is a real challenge for recycling, but they could be recycled, although not for a new piece of clothing, but for carpets or insulation or the automotive industry, they can be used for that. Okay, could you upload the presentation to the Facebook event? Yes, I will upload it in the Facebook event. I will keep it in this site as well. And if you registered through Eventbrite or in our site, I will also send you like the link to the recap, and I hope I can add the subtitles already, or at least some notes in Spanish and Portuguese. Do you have a list of shops per country? I don't have a list available, but you could check Fashion Revolution site. I also have the link down here, like in the bottom of the screen. I'm leaving you the link of Fashion Revolution. They have a lot of information for consumers. This week we are starting the Fashion Revolution week, so have a look on their website. Probably there's a lot of events happening in your country. This is a worldwide movement, so you will find something. And it's often that shops that are sustainable, or sustainable brands, sustainable designers, promote their shops and their processes in Fashion Revolution. So have a look. I'm sure you'll find something for your country. Okay, as a student, what other options could we have available except for second-hand? Yes, because I know the sustainable, buying sustainable clothes, it's not that affordable at this point. So yes, okay, we don't want to get second-hand. Maybe just reconsider what you're gonna buy. Because I know when we are tight on budget, we would love to be sustainable and make the best purchasing decision, but maybe our wallet won't allow us to do it. So just think twice. Do I really love this item? If you really love it, if you really need it and you're gonna wear it and keep it, go for it. Okay, then Daniela has another question. When do we know it's the case of greenwashing? Yes, this is a tricky one. There are some big companies that I'm sure everyone knows, but I'm not gonna say names over here, that we know they're fast fashion companies, but then they are also starting sustainable collections. And we can say, yes, this is greenwashing. They're just doing a small amount of sustainable clothing to keep on producing all of the regular clothing. So here is just being judgmental. Maybe this is a huge brand and it's only 1% of their production which is sustainable. Maybe try to find a smaller brand. Perhaps they're doing 100% of their production sustainable. Also, with smaller brands, because there's no exception, it could be a big brand doing good, or a small brand not doing really good. Sometimes we have labels that mislead us a little bit, like it can be a t-shirt that says made with organic cotton, but then we check the label and the label says like organic cotton 5% and 95% polyester, because they usually blend cotton and polyester. So then you're like, okay, they're selling this as if it's like really organic, but it's just a small percentage. So this is how you can spot a little bit of the greenwashing. Okay, so Maggie says, along with the good guide and the Better World shopper, do you have any recommendations for guidance or support for customers to buy better products? Maggie, well, this is why those two sources are really good. And this is why we're doing this webinar, because there's a lot of lack of information. We always think sustainable should be very expensive. There's also an app that it's called Good On You. It's an app or a site, Good On You. I think we're gonna write it down there. And you can check them out. This platform or app scores the sustainability rating of different brands and products. So I think this is a good way also to see, oh, okay, maybe this brand is a little bit better. And also remember the values, right? Because some brands are more focused on the environmental aspects, like we don't use chemicals or we only use organic, for example. And some other brands or products are a little more focused on the social aspect. Maybe they tell you, maybe it's conventional material, but they're making sure they pay all of the workers a good living wage, or maybe they're supporting a local community. So you should just focus on the values and what you're looking for. Then Gabriela says, can I share my screenshots on Facebook? I want to share with my friends. Of course, feel free to share the screenshots. And as I mentioned, I will give you the link later this week. And you are super free to share that as well. Then Daniela, is it possible to bring a textile recycling bin? Who will we need to talk to? Yes, I think you would need to talk to your local government or the people in charge of waste management in your area, and they could potentially include a textile recycling bin. Because I know in some countries, all the waste, like from your household, all of the waste goes into the same trash bin. We don't have separation, let's say. But in some other countries or regions, you do separate like your organic waste from your plastic waste and other kinds of waste. So maybe try to talk with these waste management organizations to see if they could potentially include a textile recycling bin. I think another good idea would be to talk with your local supermarkets, because they have often recycling for like batteries and paper. Perhaps they could include a textile one. Okay, and I think almost the last one. There are some clothes made of recycled material like PET. Does this material produce microplastic when it's washing? Yes, Gisela. It does release microplastics when washing. Everything that's made out of every garment releases microfibers, but the ones that are like petroleum based, it's microplastic fibers, right? It depends a lot on the type of garment and type of textile. As I mentioned, for example, fleece material is something that you should really, really avoid. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but even from wearing it, like you get this little fuzz all over. So imagine that, but like at a million time. So this is something that we should avoid. And yeah, but all of our garments release microplastic. I think that is it. I'm gonna just wait 1 or 2 minutes because of the delay in case someone's got a last question. Okay. So while we give this last minute, so I'm just gonna start wrapping it up. So I really hope that having seen this webinar, let us all walk away a little bit more conscious of the impact of our clothes and our choices, right? Like the choices that we make. The most immediate action we can take, like from this moment on, is to be aware and to seek to become more educated on our consumption. Okay, I think there's no further questions. So thank you very much. If you have further questions, comments, if you missed something, if you need the presentation again, if you want me to give the presentation again for a group of students or something, feel free to reach me in this email, hello@regeneratefashion.com. And also here in this site on the bottom, I'm leaving some very useful links. One of it is the link for Fashion Revolution. Go there, check the events that are happening worldwide around Fashion Revolution Week. I'm leaving you also the link of the United Nations and the Sustainable Development Goals. You can have a look of this of the 17 goals, because today we didn't explore the 17 of them. And I'm also leaving you the information about us from Regenerate, a little bit of what we do and some of our projects. And in the last row of the links that I'm leaving you are some cool brands and platforms you should check out. These are some of our examples and some of our working partners, but of course I know there are so many good initiatives and brands going all around. So just send me an email if you want to learn more, need some advice. I'm happy to help you, and thank you very much. Bye-bye.